Welcome to our channel with new interesting episode. Zoe Kravitz found her own path to fame, but she never imagined she'd be so close to one of Hollywood's most unexpected breakups, her mother Lisa Bonet's separation from Jason Momoa. For over 10 years, Lisa and Jason seemed to have one of the most solid and loving relationships in the entertainment world. Their connection, the way they blended their family, and their relaxed yet loving vibe made people admire them. They looked like they were above the usual celebrity drama, but Zoe came to learn that even the most perfect relationships can have hidden issues, ones that even those closest to the couple might not see. Zoe always seemed confident, artistic, and independent. Growing up, she lived in two creative worlds: her father, music legend Lenny Kravitz, and her mother, Lisa Bonet, who was widely known for playing Denise Huxtable on The Cosby Show. Zoe was raised in an atmosphere full of creativity and freedom, far from traditional or rigid rules. By the time she reached her 20s, she had already made a name for herself in acting, fashion, and music, not just because of who her parents were, but because of her own talents. Through it all, she stayed very close to her mother. Lisa was the person she turned to for advice about everything in her life, from her career to her emotional struggles. Their bond was tested when Jason Momoa came into Lisa's life in 2005. Zoe was still a teenager, and Jason's entrance changed things. He had a strong presence and a warm sense of humor, and he quickly became an important figure in Zoe's life. He didn't just connect with Lisa, he also connected deeply with Zoe. Friends of the family noticed how well he fit into the picture, especially when he and Lisa had 2 children together, creating a close-knit blended family. Although many assumed Zoe saw Jason as a second father, the truth was a bit more layered. She loved her own father, Lenny, very much. But she also appreciated Jason's steady, kind, and protective nature. He made her feel safe and supported. From the outside, their family looked like the perfect example of a happy, modern family. Zoe was very close to her half-siblings, Lola and Nakoa Wolf, who were born in 2007 and 2008. Pictures of the 5 of them, Lisa, Jason, Zoe, Lola, and Nakoa Wolf, would appear online from time to time, getting tons of likes and compliments about how beautiful and close their family was. Interviews showed a peaceful, supportive relationship. Jason once called Lenny his brother, and Lenny spoke kindly about Jason. Lisa seemed comfortable and content with the way her life had unfolded. Zoe quietly watched it all, happy to see her mother in such a loving and steady relationship after years of navigating life in the spotlight. But behind that public image, things were slowly starting to shift. Jason's career began to take off in a major way. After his role in Game of Thrones, he became a global star, especially with his lead role in Aquaman. Meanwhile, Lisa chose to keep a lower profile, staying focused on her family and personal interests. Jason was now living a life full of long film shoots, international travel, and constant public attention. Zoe, who was also building her own acting career, knew how difficult that lifestyle could be on personal relationships. She'd seen other celebrity couples struggle and break apart under similar pressure. At first, she stayed hopeful. She believed her mother's calm spirit and strong independence could hold things together. Jason, too, seemed committed to not letting fame change him. He often said how much he missed his family when he was working far from home. Zoe respected that and even reminded him to take breaks and stay grounded. She had grown up with the idea, passed down from her mother, that emotional well-being was more important than fame or money. But gradually, little cracks started to form. Jason was gone more often. He missed important events like birthdays and holidays. Lisa, who was used to the ups and downs of fame, hadn't fully prepared for just how demanding Jason's career would become. Zoe saw her mother trying to be patient, but she could also tell Lisa sometimes felt like she wasn't a priority anymore. Lisa shared these private feelings with Zoe, feelings of being left out or overlooked. Zoe found herself stuck in the middle. She wanted to support her mom, but she also understood Jason's passion for his work. He wasn't a bad person. He loved his kids and cared about his family. Zoe didn't want people to turn against him just because he was busy. Then came the gossip. Some rumors popped up about Jason getting too close to certain actresses on set. Most of them weren't proven and could have easily been made up, just like many stories in the tabloids. Zoe was used to seeing false stories about herself and her parents, so she didn't take the rumors seriously at first. But when Lisa started to doubt Jason's denials, Zoe realized something had changed. It wasn't just about gossip anymore, it was about trust. It was about whether Lisa still felt secure and valued in the relationship. Even so, nobody expected them to break up, especially not Zoe. So when Jason and Lisa announced their separation in early 2022 with a poetic statement talking about seismic shifts, it stunned not only fans but the entire entertainment industry. The words in their message were gentle, almost mystical, but they didn't offer clear reasons. Zoe felt a mixture of emotions. She was heartbroken for her mom, yet she also still cared deeply for Jason. She worried about her younger siblings too, knowing how much they loved having both parents together at home. As the news spread, people started guessing about what had really happened. Some blamed Jason, saying he cared more about his career than his family. Others blamed Lisa, suggesting she was holding Jason back. But the truth, at least from what people close to the family say, wasn't so simple. According to them, it wasn't about one big mistake. It was about the growing distance, emotionally and physically, that had built up over time. Zoe understood this. She had seen it happen gradually. Two people who loved each other deeply were slowly pulled in different directions. Zoe's role during this time was difficult. She'd already gone through her own parents' divorce. Lisa and Lenny had separated years earlier. She knew how breakups could affect not just the couple, but everyone around them. She tried to comfort her younger siblings, letting them know their dad still loved them, even if he didn't live with them anymore. At the same time, she was someone her mother could talk to. Lisa didn't share her feelings with the public, but she opened up to Zoe. This left Zoe feeling torn. She didn't want to make things worse or accidentally cause more tension by saying the wrong thing. In interviews, Zoe avoided talking too much about the breakup. She kept her answers vague and didn't go into details. But those close to her knew she was carrying a heavy emotional weight, trying to hold space for everyone she loved without taking sides, and quietly dealing with the pain of seeing a family she had grown to cherish change in a way she never expected. She often expressed love in a careful and thoughtful way, praising Lisa for always being herself and admiring Jason's kind and generous heart. But fans could feel something was being held back. Zoe didn't share too much, and that made some people think she was just being cautious, while others believed there was more going on behind the scenes than anyone wanted to admit. The official statement about the divorce was polite, friendly, and even optimistic, but as time passed, it became clear that deeper issues were involved. Trusted sources began to suggest there had been problems for a while. Jason reportedly felt Lisa hadn't supported him enough as his Hollywood career took off. He wished she had traveled with him more and been part of the celebrity lifestyle. On the other hand, Lisa felt that the man she had married had changed. Fame, red carpets, glamorous locations, and blockbuster success had turned him into someone she didn't recognize anymore. Zoe, caught in the middle, tried to stay neutral. She understood her mother's side, but she also knew how hard Jason had worked to achieve his success. She remembered the version of him before the fame. Many fans wondered if Zoe had seen the breakup coming. Rumors say she wasn't shocked. She had felt the tension building for some time. But like many who were close to the couple, she had hoped they would work things out. They had overcome challenges before, from pregnancies to big career changes, and had always returned to a place of respect and love. But love can fade under constant pressure. Even the strongest connections can eventually wear down. Zoe understood the pain that happens when two people realize they can't go back to what they once had. After the divorce announcement, things remained quiet. Jason and Lisa avoided public arguments and focused on co-parenting. They released thoughtful, almost philosophical messages about growth and personal change. There were no messy fights in the media or public custody battles. They seemed united in protecting their children, Lola and Nakoa Wolf, from the chaos that often comes with celebrity breakups. Zoe also kept her comments focused on her work and avoided the personal details. But cracks started to show. Rumors surfaced that Lisa was struggling emotionally and rethinking not just a relationship, but her entire life. She had always been seen as calm and introspective, but the divorce forced her to reflect on how deeply she had depended on that relationship. Zoe reportedly became one of her mother's biggest sources of support, encouraging her and reminding her that finding independence could be empowering, not just scary. Some people wondered if Zoe felt any anger toward Jason. Sources say she didn't. She still cared for him and remembered how he had welcomed her as part of his family, never treating her as just a stepdaughter. He had always supported her music and acting career. Still, she found it hard to reconcile the loving, present Jason she had known with the one who now seemed distant and caught up in the world of fame. Another complex part of the story was Zoe's father, Lenny Kravitz. He and Jason had a well-known, friendly relationship. They joked on social media and genuinely respected each other, and many fans saw them as a great example of how modern families could work. But beneath the surface, things weren't always so smooth. Jason reportedly felt uncomfortable with how close Lisa remained with Lenny. Lisa saw Lenny as family, but that connection may have never fully sat well with Jason. Zoe, who loved both of them, often played the role of peacemaker. She had done it her whole life, quietly helping smooth out disagreements and tension when she could. But no matter how much she tried, some problems ran too deep to fix. By 2024, when the divorce process became more formal, Lisa and Jason had already started living separate lives. Lisa turned inward, focusing on writing, photography, and her spiritual life. Jason kept working on film and television, traveling, and getting more involved in causes like ocean conservation. Their divorce didn't turn into a public legal fight, which surprised some people used to messy Hollywood breakups. Still, the calm exterior likely covered up a lot of hurt and emotional exhaustion. Zoe was also busy building her own career. She had landed big roles, worked behind the scenes, and even directed. In interviews, she seemed confident and focused, traits she credited to both her mother and father. But even with her own success, she worried about her younger siblings. Lola and Nakoa Wolf were still young and could be deeply affected by the changes. Zoe made a point to stay close to them, calling often, inviting them to her film sets, and spending time with them to give them a sense of stability. What really caught people's attention was how Lisa and Jason managed to keep many of the painful details of their breakup private. Unlike many celebrity divorces full of blame or money fights, there seemed like a mutual decision. Zoe reportedly saw it as two people with different life paths. Jason wanted to chase global fame, while Lisa craved a quieter, more thoughtful life. They had made it work for a long time, but eventually the differences became too big to ignore. Even after the split, they worked together to co-parent their children. They showed up at important family events together, which some saw as proof that their friendship remained real, while others thought it was simply a way to keep things peaceful for the kids. Zoe, who had a deep connection to both, had a reason to help keep the family functioning. In a rare honest moment, Zoe once said that sometimes love doesn't end, it just changes form. Many saw this as a sign of the bond that still existed between Lisa and Jason. People often ask whether Zoe chose a side in the divorce. The truth seems more complicated. She didn't treat it as a case of winners and losers. She supported her mom's decision to stay true to herself and not give in to someone else's dreams. But she also never criticized Jason or questioned his love for her mom. She even occasionally liked or commented on his social media posts, especially those about causes he cared about, like protecting the environment. She shared the occasional photo of them at family events, showing that the ties between them weren't completely broken. As for the darker rumors, about arguments, jealousy over Lenny, or emotional manipulation, Zoe hasn't talked about those directly. Friends say she's good at keeping different parts of her life separate, which is a necessary skill when you grow up in the public eye. She reportedly told someone close that the truth is less dramatic than the tabloids claim, but also more painful than people realize. In her words, two things can be true. No one has to be the villain, but there can still be enough pain to break something that once felt unshakable. Zoe sees this time as a period of growth for everyone involved. She's watched her mother rediscover old passions and find new ones. She's seen Jason push himself into new creative and charitable projects that align with his values. And she believes that sometimes heartbreak pushes people to reflect and grow in ways they never would have otherwise. Maybe the divorce, as painful as it was necessary for both Lisa and Jason to move forward in life in a way that matched who they truly are. As a successful person in her own right, Zoe stands at an interesting point in this story. She knows the full picture but also maintains some distance. She connects all three lives, her mom's, her dad's, and Jason's, without taking sides. She respects the love that once existed, supports the reality that it's over, and focuses on helping her mom and siblings through this time. When you look at the complex relationships in this story, it raises questions about family in today's world. Have you ever had to help manage tension between parents or step-parents? Many people deal with the same emotions, even without the spotlight of fame. Would you, like Zoe, try to stay neutral, or would you defend one side out of loyalty? This divorce reminds us that no matter how perfect a relationship seems, problems can grow until there's no going back. Sometimes it's one major incident that causes a split, but other times it's a slow drift caused by changing goals or unspoken frustrations. Still, heartbreak doesn't mean the end of everything. For Lisa, it's meant taking control of her life again and protecting her children from public chaos. For Jason, it's a chance to find balance between fame and staying true to who he is. For Zoe, it's another step in her journey. She's been through one high-profile divorce between her parents, Lisa and Lenny, and now another. But she seems to have come out of it with strength and understanding. She's focused on her creative passions and maintaining real, meaningful relationships with everyone she loves. She doesn't pretend it's been easy. There are times when she wonders if she could have helped more, if she could have helped her parents see each other more clearly or handled certain things differently. But there are no clear answers. Life is complicated, and family relationships even more so. The future is still unfolding. Jason remains committed to his children, Lisa continues to find her own path, and Zoe stands in the middle, loving both, encouraging them, and reminding them that even if the romance is over, the bond of family still remains. Maybe one day, we'll see them all together at a family gathering, celebrating milestones with Zoe standing there, quietly holding it all together. If there's one lesson from this story, it's that real life rarely follows a perfect storyline. Love doesn't always last forever. Even peaceful divorces can be filled with pain. Children, whether young or grown, feel the effects. But over time, people heal, find new paths, and sometimes grow into the truest versions of themselves only after stepping away from something they thought would last. Like and subscribe our channel. Have a good day.